Hi, I'm Sarah Cronin. Welcome to Coping with Change and Uncertainty. I'm just going to run through some hints and tips, some tools and techniques that will support you during times of change and uncertainty. It's not a definitive list. There are things that you might be doing that are working. That's great. You carry on and do them. These are just some ideas that you can add to your toolkit of techniques. So a little bit about me. I run an organisation called An Apple a Day Health and Wellbeing. I've been doing that now for about 6 or 7 years, and my background is with the NHS in Wales. I've been supporting people with long-term health conditions, mental and physical health conditions. I've trained at Stanford University in self-management, and that's all about tools and techniques we can pick up to improve our own well-being and our own health. And as well as that, I live well with a number of health conditions myself, one of which is a mental health condition. So welcome to our session today. We're going to look at today the change cycle, and then I'm going to give you some hints and tips and some tools and techniques that you can think about that will help you during uncertain periods in your life and maybe to embrace some changes. So change and uncertainty can leave people feeling stressed, anxious or powerless, and worry about the direction of our lives. And again, it can be emotionally draining. You can find yourself trapped in your mind with what if scenarios, worst possible situation scenarios, and maybe worry about the future, what tomorrow may hold for you. So I'm going to kick off and we're going to talk a little bit about the change cycle. It's important to remember that different people will react differently in times of change and uncertainty. And I'm going to go through this change cycle. Some people will go through it very quickly. Other people, it will take them much longer. And some people get quite stuck toing and froing. We don't just go from point A to point B seamlessly. We will to and fro. We will go backwards and forwards through the different stages. So the first stage really is shock or surprise that this event's happening, that this change, this curveball, this period of uncertainties hit us, so we can feel quite shocked. Then we can go through a period of denial, so we're actually looking for evidence that it's true, because we can't quite believe it's happening. Then we can move through to a period maybe of frustration, and some people can get quite angry about what's happening. And then that flows down into depression or low mood for some, and then this feeling maybe of lethargy. You know, it's just we lack that energy. It feels like we're walking in treacle, so massive fatigue, massive loss of energy. And then coming out of it, starting to climb out the other side, is the experimental stage, so we can initially engage with that new situation. And then we move to decision, so we learn to work in that new situation, and we start to begin to feel kind of a wee bit more positive until finally we get into integration. So the changes are integrated and we're moving out of that. But as I said, you will move up and down all of those stages and people will go through it at a different pace. So I put together 15 hints and tips for you just to have a wee think about. What I would say is pick up the easy stuff. When we pick up easy stuff, it's obviously much easier to implement. So pick up stuff that resonates with you, stuff that's easy, and just add that to a toolkit of techniques that you might already be doing to help to manage that change, or as we say, embrace the change and the uncertainty. So with any situation like this, we can feel quite anxious, we can feel quite worried, and there will be solvable and there will be unsolvable worries. And it's important for us to distinguish between the two. So how do we know if it's solvable or not? Good question. So the first thing we look at is something called problem solving, and that's my first technique today. So problem solving is, the first thing we have to do is to think about what is the real problem. So don't jump straight in and think, oh, this is the problem. We might have to think about it a wee bit longer to see what the real problem is, because it's important we identify the real issue so that we can come up with solutions to the real problem. So take a wee bit time to explore really what the real problem is. The next thing you do is brainstorm some ideas. So you write a list of lots of ideas, even off the wall suggestions, even stuff that you think might not even work. Try not to get caught in the trap of, oh, I'm not writing that down, that'll never work, that'll never work. So we start to dismiss things before we actually document them. We don't know if they're not going to work or not. They might not have worked in the past. That's not to say they might not work this time. So write everything down. Ask friends, family, Google, Alexa, whoever it is, create a big list of ideas to solve that real problem. And then the next thing is choose something from that list and go away and try it out. If it works, great, problem solved. If it's not, go back to the list and keep trying things until you find something that does work. When that list is exhausted, you know, that problem may not be solvable. There's nothing's worked. So remember, not every problem is solvable. You can always revisit it again at a different time, a different place, maybe in a different headspace, yeah? So the problem might not be solvable. But if you work your way through that, it's more likely to be solvable. But remember, not all problems are solvable. So part of that is to accept uncertainty when things are not solvable. So acceptance is part of life. So if we can accept a situation, we can then move forward and be more proactive. Because when we get stuck with a situation that we cannot accept, what we tend to do, and I'm generalizing, is we feed it, we talk about it, it becomes the only thing in our world, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So if we can accept that that's a situation, we can then move forward. It doesn't become the center of our world and the only thing in our world, because there's a great big world out there. So acceptance. So accept uncertainty, yeah? Let it go, because you can't control everything. You know, let go of those emotions, yeah? They hold more power when you keep them close to you, yeah? And just accept them and then move through them. Focus on the things you can control. Put your energies into the things you can control rather than the things you can't control. Be open to surprise. Do you know what? Not all uncertainty is bad. When we're in the thick of it, we think everything is bad, but actually not everything is. Take risks, you know, moving forward requires risks, and actually it might be worth it, yeah? So take those risks. Be brave, yeah? You know, fear and uncertainty go hand in hand. Feel that fear and do it anyway. Okay, number 3 is to ask the right questions. So when things like this happen, change or uncertainty in our lives, we tend to go down the route of why, right? So we're going to ditch why, this is a technique, and we're going to replace why with what. So instead of saying, why did this happen to me? Why would they do this to me? Replace it with, what is a solution? What will get me to where I need? What do I need to get through this? These are much more proactive and positive ways of looking at things and will help us move forward. The why just keeps us stuck. The what will help us move forward. Okay, number 4, get some perspective. So what is the bigger picture here, yeah? So yes, it might be, oh, this is the worst thing in the world that's happened, but we don't know that for sure, yeah? So actually we take a step back, look at the bigger picture, and actually we can get a different perspective on what is happening, what this curveball or this change or uncertainty is. Number 5, focus on the positives. So if you've been in my workshops before, you've heard me talk about 3 positive things every day. I absolutely attribute this technique as the first thing that got me out of bed when I had my mental health breakdown, just focusing on the wee things in life. Martin Seligman, American psychologist, wrote this book, Flourish. He talks in the book about working with 2 different groups of people, both with low mood. One group continued to take antidepressants. The second group stopped taking antidepressants and instead focus on 3 small positive things each day. And over a very short period of time, the group of people not taking antidepressants who focused on this technique, their mood was far more elevated than those who stuck with the antidepressants. So it's better than taking antidepressants. However, word of caution, if you are taking antidepressants, don't stop taking antidepressants. That's a dangerous thing to do. So this technique is just about 3 wee things every day, and they're not big things in life. So it might be the sun shining, as a nice cup of coffee with a friend, and a nice chat on the phone, and a nice walk in the park with a dog, whatever it is, just 3 wee things every day. So focusing on positive things can help us during times of uncertainty and change. Another way to find the positive is to look at something, a technique called the thorn, the rose and the bud. So the thorn is the curved ball or the change or the uncertainty. The rose is the positives that's come out of it, and the bud is the learning. And the way we do this is, just on a piece of paper, we write out 3 headings: the thorn, the bud, the rose. So here's a wee example. Recently for me, a contract I'm working on, they changed all the payments dates, and it left me with a temporary shortfall. So that was my curved ball, or that big massive change that happened to me. The learning from it is, my gosh, I need a contingency, so I need an overdraft facility. And I didn't think I needed one because I had all my ducks in a row and all the payments dates in a row. I was fine, I was flying. Along comes the curveball, so I need to have that. So that's my learning. And the positive that came out of that is all my payments now happen at the end of the contract, and actually there's more contract value in that at the end. So it's just about looking at those 3 sections and it's looking at the positives and the learning from it. So here's another one, my divorce. I've called it a recent change. It's not recent, this was many, many moons ago. But that's a massive change, was divorce. The learning in that is I'm stronger than I thought I was, and my kids can adapt. Another learning for me is I'm not going to make that mistake again. And the positive that's come out of all of that is I met a new husband. Okay, and that's a very flippant example, but you can see what we're trying to do. Whenever there's a time of change or uncertainty or a curveball, what is it? If we can look for the learning, the bud, and the positives, the rose, that can help to keep us positive. So if it's your turn, if you want to do that, you just head up that paper like that, and you can fill out those 3 sections. Okay, number 6, having an optimistic outlook. So feeling optimistic about our future. And the way we do this is, when life throws us that curveball, what is one thing that is positive or good about this? And what is one opportunity within this situation? That's, what's the opportunity that that situation presents? So you might want to just jot down now a recent negative situation that's happened to you. Have a think about one thing that is good about this or positive about this, and one opportunity that this presents. And that can help us just to change our outlook and to have an optimistic outlook going forward. Number 7, your ego. So your ego might be getting in the way here now, yeah? So you need to decrease that ego's involvement, yeah? So you stop thinking along the lines of, how dare they do this to me? They'll be sorry about it. Get rid of your ego. It's not a personal thing. So try and decrease the ego's involvement. And as I've just said there, number 8 is, it isn't personal. This isn't a personal thing, yeah? So don't take it personally. Try, and I know that's maybe a natural response, but try not to take it personally. So turn the NO, turn the no into a next opportunity. So think about how you can put that energy into moving forward. Consider a fail as a first attempt in learning. And when you think it's the end, think effort never dies. So there's a couple little things to think about, not to take it personally, yeah? So a next opportunity, a first attempt in learning, and an effort never dies. So number 9 is to anchor yourself in the future with goals and actions. So goals are your big umbrella, what you want to achieve, and what sits under there are small commitments or small little actions, yeah? So there we have the umbrella goal and lots of little actions, lots of little commitments that sit under that so that we can achieve that goal. So I've taken some research from the New Behavioural Insight. We talk about EAST actions towards goals. So you might do SMART actions in work, or you might have heard of SMART actions in sport, that sort of thing. I've taken this model because the first thing is E stands for easy, and that really resonated with me, doing something easy. Because in the past, what I've tended to do is my actions towards my goal have been way too far too ambitious, so that I never achieved them, and I always, fell off the horse, so to speak, because they weren't easy enough. So easy actions, they're achievable, they're supported, and there's a time frame. So setting an action towards a goal. So we've got the big umbrella goal, the action that sits under it is, so choose something easy. So my action this week is something easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose something easy. I'm then going to ask myself, the A stands for, is it achievable? And this is really about how confident you feel. And it's really what your gut tells you. So if you imagine a scale of 0 to 10, yeah? 0, I'm not confident at all, and 10, I'm super confident. You're looking for a 7 or above. How confident do I feel I can achieve that easy action? And if it's a 7 or above, that's great, that's perfect. If it's below a 7 with your achievability, your confidence, you need to go back and look at your action because it's not easy enough. It's important that we achieve these actions, because when we start achieving things, the momentum starts happening, the motivation kicks in. So an easy action, confidence level, achievability of 7 or above. Very often, actions are more likely to be achieved if they are supported. That doesn't mean you have to do all your actions with somebody, but maybe in the beginning it's a good idea to team up with somebody to do an action. That gives you accountability, and that can help with motivation. And then the final thing on this is the T for the time frame. When is the best time to do this action? So think about the week ahead. When's the best time? You might be better in the morning than you are in the evening. And if you can link doing your action to a behaviour, that can be really useful in terms of motivation, can be really useful to remind you to do it. So when I first started running, because I was wanted to keep fit, my action was to go running. I always would go running after I'd brushed my teeth. I brushed my teeth every morning at the same time, then I went for a run. And then the evening, it was immediately when I came home from work, because I did that every day. So that can help to link it to a behaviour. And that is how you set an action towards a goal. So it's EAST, it's easy, so choose something easy. And even if it's just the smallest of steps that we're doing towards that big goal, we're moving forward with these actions. And even the smallest of step means we're going in the right direction. So choosing something easy. Achievability is about that confidence scale, supported if you want it, and the best time to do it. Okay, number 10 is change the what if to how can I. Our minds can get caught up in this cycle, like we said at the beginning, about what if, what if, what if, what if. And rather than sitting there thinking what if, what if, what if, change it to how can I, because how can I is actually a much more proactive way of thinking and can help us to move forward. Share your struggles. So communicate, talk to somebody. You get ideas from other people. A problem shared is a problem halved. So reach out, connect with people, share what's going on, communicate. The 3 R's is number 12. So this is all about avoiding a knee-jerk reaction. Very often in times of change or uncertainty, we need to take stock and not have a knee-jerk reaction. So this will help. So the first R is to reflect. So stop, take a breath. Then reassess, look at what is actually within your control here. And then revise, make adjustments to help you be prepared so you can cross the line, yeah? The next time you can cross the line. So avoid the knee-jerk, reflect, stop, take a breath, reassess, what can you actually control here? Revise, make adjustments to help you be prepared, to help you cross the line. Diffusion. This is a technique that can help us when we come across situations or words that are difficult. So it's a strategy that neutralizes words that we find distressing, and it's about repeating them over and over again. So I'm going to do a little activity, and by all means, feel free to join in. And the activity is called Paper, Paper, Paper. And it's just separating the words in this diffusion technique. And we're going to do this with the word called paper. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to repeat the word paper, paper, paper over and over again for 90 seconds. And what this will do is, as I said earlier, it just neutralizes the words. It takes the sting out of them, so they just become vibrations in the air. So I work with a lot of people who find supermarkets panicky, anxious, worrying places. So that's a situation. Going shopping, they don't actually like that. So when even the words say, let's go shopping, people can just feel really anxious and worried and panicky. So we just say the word shopping, 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 or the word Sainsbury's, 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 Sainsbury's over and over again. So actually we're taking the sting out of that word. So this worked really well for me when I had my breakdown. My manager was bullying me, and just her name was enough for me to just feel extra panicky, worried, stressed out. So I just said her name over and over again for 90 seconds, and actually I can say it quite happily now because the sting's taken out of it. So you might have a word, a situation, a person that makes you feel like that. So we just repeat the word over and over again. Okay, so here goes. Paper, 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 paper. I'm not going to do it for 90 seconds, but you can imagine if we did it for 90 seconds, already it's just starting to sound like, yeah, doesn't even sound like paper anymore. So we take the sting out of it, yeah. So just repeat that word over and over again. That's diffusion, and that will help us for words or situations that we find stressful. Number 14, mourn the loss. So what do I mean by this? Okay, establish a mourning period, yeah, in this period of change or uncertainty. So say to yourself, right, between Monday and Thursday, that's when I'm really going to indulge. I'm going to have this mourning period. I'm going to give myself 4 days to mourn this loss, yeah? I'm going to eat ice cream straight out the carton, yeah? I'm going to binge watch box sets for these 4 days. I'm going to play really sad songs and really indulge myself in mourning this loss all by myself, or whatever it is, all these sad songs, yeah? And then mourn it and then get on with your life, yeah? Because it's sink or swim, and your choice is you can sit there and it can be a horrible, horrible situation, and we end up feeding it and feeding it and feeding it. And actually, what we want to do is say, that's the period, we're going to mourn that period, but you know, that's over. It's time to get back on the horse and time to move forward, yeah? And number 15, when your mind starts overthinking, what can we do? We can do something called stop. We can stop, pause for a moment. The T is to take a break. So that might be take a break from where you are, or take a break from the environment, remove yourself somewhere else. Observe how you're feeling, observe how you're reacting. Take a look back, get some perspective, the bigger picture, and then practice some techniques that work, yeah? These techniques only work if you give them a go, yeah? So some of what you've heard today might be new to you, some of it might be a reminder, or you might have stuff that does work. So use the stuff and practice what works, and then to proceed. Any form of relaxation is good for your well-being, will really help you in times of stress or uncertainty or worry or anxiety or change. So add relaxation in. It doesn't have to be a 2-hour relaxation session. It can be 10 minutes in the garden, it can be walking a dog around the park, it can be sitting in a bubble bath, whatever it might be. If you can add just 10 minutes into your day, that will really top up your well-being and help you be more resilient in times of change and uncertainty. And finally, change is inevitable. So just understand that change does happen. change will happen. The only thing you can absolutely control is how you react when things are out of control. So that gives you a little bit of power. So you've got the control over how you react. Shift your focus onto good things, yeah? So finding the positives will help you kind of move forward. So there's some tools for embracing change and uncertainty. As I said in the beginning, pick up the easy stuff, pick up the stuff that resonates with you, add it to your toolkit. You've got to practice these things before they become automatic. It takes at least 21 occasions for things to become automatic. So, you know, they're going to feel clunky to begin with, but give them a good go. Find the things that work, and hopefully there's some bits and pieces there that you can add to your own well-being toolkit that will help you through times of change and times of uncertainty. I've been Sarah Cronin. Thank you very much for joining. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.